This is a Minn Kota Terrova trolling motor, and it does kind of look like we've just bolted an electric outboard onto the bow of this boat, but as you can see, it's a little bit more than that. What we've got here is an electric motor and a propeller. They can produce about 80 pounds of thrust. In there we've got a positional control motor, and it rotates this head a full 360 degrees. And up the top there, we've got a control head that connects to a GPS transceiver. The clever engineers at Minn Kota have used this combination of things to give us functionality pretty close to a fully fledged dynamic positioning system. Good idea, right? Now I'm going to caveat that by saying I've not seen this myself in person, in the water and working, so I don't know how effective it's going to be, but everything I've seen so far online seems pretty promising. Now when this job first came up, I didn't know a great deal about these things. I did a bit of research online, and most of the installation guides and instructions said, bolt that thing to the bow, hook up a battery and the GPS transceiver, and off you go. This one's not been quite that straightforward, so let me take you through the installation so far.
For us was to actually mount the motor onto the bow of the boat. Now, one of the main considerations we always have whenever we're working on somebody's boat, be that an installation, a repair, or just general maintenance, is by the time we're finished and walk away, we should never be able to tell that we're there. Now that can be in form or function. Obviously in this case there's no way to disguise this, but we can at least make it function like it was always designed to be here. Now the instruction manual tells us that we need to mount this as close to the bow as we possibly can. In our case we've got a big anchor logger here, and that means it's out of the question. The other thing is we've got a big wheelhouse in the way, so even if we could mount it there, we would never be able to get this long shaft past the wheelhouse. So really where we've got it is about in the position that we can put it. And the next thing we need to think about is making it as easy as possible to deploy and recover. I'm just going to interrupt myself for a second and say that this isn't our day job. Well, fitting stuff like this is our day job, but creating videos about it is not. And actually recording it, editing it and putting it up online is really time consuming. So if you find this interesting or useful, do the usual thing, hit like, share and subscribe. Really appreciate it, and it also helps us reach other people who might be interested. Now we've got a handrail there on the starboard side that's bang in the way. And that ultimately meant we had to move this a bit further outboard than we'd originally planned. So we made up a stainless plate here, and all that's there to do is support the weight of it. Now the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed we come up against a bit of a problem. Now obviously that means in order to deploy and recover this motor, we need to be able to remove a section of handrail. Now we had two main considerations when we were coming up with a plan for that. The first is it needs to be strong, and the second is it needs to not upset the aesthetic of the boat. Really we want it so that at a glance you can't tell that that section is removed. And this is what we came up with. So this can be removed, the motor can be deployed, and then it can be refitted. And we'll take a closer look at how that works a bit later.
This little thing here is what Minn Kota call a heading sensor. Really it's a GPS transceiver, and we need to fit this somewhere on the boat. Now when I'm looking for someone to fit it, I need to think about putting it somewhere ideally up high where it's going to get a good strong signal. We need to supply power. This one runs on 12 volts, not 24, and it needs a 1 amp supply. It's not a lot. I was looking around trying to figure out somewhere to put it. I thought here might be a good place. Above my head we've got a vent panel. There's a deck light there. So there's obviously power in here somewhere. Now we're not going to use that power, but the wires have to run somewhere. So it makes me think that there might be a trunk running into this section. So I'm going to pull this panel off, have a look in behind, see what I can see. Sure enough, once we're inside the panel, we can see there's a load of cables in here, and we've also found there's another access hatch into the same vent space. We poke the camera up there and we can see the top of a duct. If we head round behind the captain's chair and look up, we'll be able to see the other end of that duct. So I'm going to feed a cable snake up there. It's going to help me pull the wire back down. If you're ever feeding a cable snake up even into a duct like this, you want to be really careful. Don't ever force it, because you're just going to give yourself an almighty headache. So I'm just feeling my way up here. It doesn't take long to reach the top. We do a wee tap tap to confirm. And then I'm just going to add another extension onto the snake, and that's only so that I can rest it on the deck and the whole snake won't then fall out of the hole as soon as I let go. We're back up at the top now. We can see the other end of our snake, so we're going to move on to feeding the wiring through. I'm going to start from the vent hatch, feed the cable through into our inspection hatch, tape it to the snake and then pull it down. Now, although these clips are sped up, you'll notice that I'm never yanking on the cables, I'm always leaving slack. In fact, even once I pull this all the way down, there's still a coil left over. Now we've pulled that all the way through, I'm just going to track it back to the console. I am following some existing wiring, but I'm being careful to avoid anything with a high power draw. This unit only draws 100 milliamps, and although this cable here is shielded, it will still be sensitive to electromagnetic fields, so we'll just not take any chances. The reason I'm running into the console is there's already some power supplies there, and it's a nice convenient place to mount a fuse. Well, that's the story so far on this installation. Still a couple of things left to do, and there's some other things to do on this boat that aren't related to the Minn Kota. We're going to carry on with them. We will put out a part 2 showing the finished article, so look out for that. We're also still a young YouTube channel, but we do have one other video you can look at. It's probably on the screen somewhere now. Thank you for watching.